basking in the warm glow of his power. The cadets who tormented him would have already knelt down if it weren't for his weak physicality and low-level core. This was the difference between their power. But suddenly, he felt a strange force interrupt him. The force engulfs him, drowning his body into the abyss and into a demon's grasp. He manages to regain consciousness, but somehow his strength had now abruptly left him. The tubes forcefully detached from his body as he spews blood. The monitoring technician is convinced that the machine had malfunctioned as Aang's sync rate instantly dropped to 10%. Just enough to pass Aang. The female supervisor at the deck discovered a flaw in the demonic core, which is probably what caused the issue. Yao Tang was still in a state of disbelief after what he witnessed. He exhaled in relief and verified Aang's sync rate. They just attributed Aang's passing rate due to the demonic core's abnormality. Snow rushed over to help Aang, who is found lying exhausted on the stage. He now regrets ever competing with the brats but is somehow still thankful he managed to pass. Lu can be seen in the distance looking over and collecting her raging inner thoughts of the possibility of someone better than her. Aang's exhausted body is carried out of the testing facility by Snow while Yuhui captures the sweet moments. The weird force that interfered with Aang's exam had him wondering in the lounge. He recalls how it slowly ate away at his heart before instantly draining him of all strength. It had never happened like this before, as he was sure he could reach a sync rate of at least 80%. Even if it was a low-level demonic core, that shouldn't have caused the malfunction. As Aang continued his pondering, the doors opened to reveal Yao Tang. Aang manages to stand up and greet the squadron leader. Yao Tang congratulated them for reaching the final assessment. This time, individuals will experience their first encounter with a monster. This is the practical examination. Aang was left behind as the participants made their way to the evaluation site. Yao Tang stares as an exhausted Aang struggles to walk past him. On the floor, he sees something that Aang had left behind. It was a fragment of the demonic core. This seals his curiosity about Aang. He is anticipating the results of his final exam. Chapter 4. The final examinees have all gathered at the gates of the compound. Not long after, the door opens revealing a barren landscape. This is the cadets' first time being outside, as humans have spent their lives isolated in cities. The officers reminded the participants to inspect their equipment and exit the city, ending excitement and chatter. Aang was given a new strength core, but he highly doubts this was the reason for his loss of power during the synchronization test. It could have been the result of his reincarnation. As Aang casually sets his foot outside the confines of the city, he felt another strange energy emanating from him. It was as if he had sent a ripple of force that detects the monsters across the land. The range had reached a particular demon that sensed his presence and determines Aang as a stronger demon than it. Aang stood there frozen from the fact that the energy resonating from his heart had made it possible for him to identify nearby demons. His shock was cut short as Lu stood behind him impatiently waiting for him to move out of the way. As he makes an effort to apologize to Lu, Snow and Yuhui also arrive. The examiner calls them outside and instructed them to form a group. They were the last set of cadets to form up, thus the four of them were now bound together. Although Lu coldly tells him not to bring the squad down, she is actually relieved because no one wanted to join forces with her. Yuhui questions whether them being in the same group was always Aang's intention. With a commemorative snap, the team proceed to the assessment area. At the venue, large stone monuments are placed called dispelling steel. These stones contain a special substance that can dispel the fog. The examiner begins his orientation. The four-person teams will participate in a trial known as hunting in the fog beyond the walls. Combat daggers and a device for dispelling the fog were provided to the group. Their mission is straightforward: go through the fog to their designated areas, which are marked with flashing lights. The device should then be inserted to clear the fog. Then, hunt finless demons. Their individual strength and team's cooperation are factors to determine whether they pass or fail. For cadets, hunting in the fog beyond the walls is akin to a rite of passage. The unknown perils lying in the mist must be faced by the future warriors. In this test, becoming a warrior depends on more than just physical prowess and talent. The capacity to cooperate and rely on your team, a strong mentality and fearlessness toward the fog, and the capacity to conquer one's fears are more crucial traits. The trial begins. The squadron leaders supervise the progress from above. Dada Gel, the second squadron leader, only has her sights on C2 Lu. First squadron leader Joel is also curious about her capabilities. Yao Tang, however, already set his eyes on Aang. His curiosity on the cadet deepens as the fragment of demonic core he sent for inspection had no defects. His train of thought was halted as Gel gave him a playful knock on the head. The squadron leaders made a brief round of humorous remarks about Yao Tang. Gel, however, who is worried for the cadet's safety, reaffirms the demon's rank in the test area. She wanted to make sure that the location only had finless demons, the weakest monsters to introduce to the examinees. Yao Tang confirms that they made sure of the safety of the participants and that no one-fin demons are to be found within the Helios city's vicinity. If there were, Joel adds, then they'd have to do everything they can to protect this next batch of future warriors. Chapter 5. The examination area has been set up. It was Aang's team's turn to be assessed. Onlookers from other teams are eager to know how the team C2 Lu is in turns out. Aang picks up the device. Lu instantly snatches it from his hand and leads with a sprint. Her inner self tells her more boastful behavior. Aang is starting to get annoyed with her attention-seeking demeanor. They had no choice but to follow her. They trailed behind Lu into the misty forest. They see the beacon's faint red light piercing through the fog. She quickly lunges forward, doing an acrobatic maneuver, and lands near the marker. Lu plunges the device into the receptacle and the fog dissipates. Gel notices Lu's agile physique, which was no worse than the cadets with the blue agility cores, given that Lu has a recovery core equipped. Proof of someone coming from the prestigious C2 family. Back at the trial grounds, finless monsters have started appearing once the fog had vanished. They see Lu alone and started charging at her. Aang quickly orders Snow to use his skill to assist Lu. Snow powers up his defensive yellow core and performs a giant leap, landing in front of her. He uses his defensive abilities to shield Lu and hold off the incoming horde attacks. To be accustomed to utilizing his core's power in a short time. This feat impresses Yao Tang, observing at the distance. Meanwhile, with the repelled monsters thrown off in the air, Aang urges the team to kill them one by one. Each of them had their own monster to deal with. Yu Hui quickly agrees while Lu responds with her attitude. They brace themselves and charge towards the monsters. Round 1. Yu Hui easily dominates her opponent. Stabbing and slashing across its body, her attack is completed with a powerful kick to the gut. Snow strikes the body of the falling creature with a tremendous blow shortly after, sending it flying across the test area. Squad leader Joel notices their solid teamwork, adding a vague comment on Yu Hui's movements. Round 2. It was Lu's turn to show off her skills. She stabs her combat knife deep inside the monster's hide. Her attack has been reinforced by her green core, which causes the monster's body to implode. Lu defeats her opponent without breaking a sweat. Round 3. Lastly, Aang lunges at the monster and ascertains its vital parts. He attacks the neck, then the chest, and finally the abdomen. He tumbles down after the successive attacks and manages to regain composure. Aware of his new body's capabilities, he surmised this should be the time to test its limits. He concentrates and begins activating his red strength core, then bursts towards the monster in a blink. Chapter 6. As Aang charges towards the monster, it attempts to counterattack with a right hook. Aang manages to dodge it and lands a solid blow on its armpit. Aang's reactions clearly weren't quick enough. The monster again counters with a right kick, to which Aang also dodges. Now, switches his dagger to his left hand, he takes a stab at its gut. His body struggles to keep up with the coordination. The angry monster launches another attack. Aang quickly retrieves his dagger and slashes the monster's throat. It wasn't as strong as he hoped it would be, but it was enough to take down the enemy. He still lacked the strength to totally dominate even a finless monster. His teammates were shocked at what they saw. Snow felt Aang was toying with the monster, while Yu Hui kept recording the fight. Lu, however, showed an emotionless facade